Welcome, you're listening to the Leading Hope Podcast. My name is VJ Williams, here with my friend and pastor, Kevin Jack. Thank you for joining us and taking time out of your day to become a better leader. Welcome. We're glad that you're here because being here is better than not being here, but we are glad that you're here. If you're new, we release a new episode every Wednesday. The easiest way to remember, hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Also, share this with a friend on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and rate and review or both on leadinghope.online. You can send us messages there and get updates. Find out more about the Leading Hope community. This is episode 2.
We've also got changes coming to the podcast.
1.
I like how you did pause it out. That's great.
It is episode 241. But before we talk about episode 241, and I'll give you what that means here in a second.
Yeah, we're just in a spot where we've been doing this for 4 years plus now.
Yep.
And thrilled with the response and the way people comment, and just kind of relooking with like current state of how people acquire information and the information we're able to provide from our experiences. What's the best way to go about this?
Yeah. So we'll probably over the next, I'll just say several weeks, we'll re-release content from one of the other 240 episodes. We'll try to do it strategically and things that we think maybe people are trying to figure out, or maybe we're trying to figure out. And that's what we'll really re-release over the next several weeks. So I've already had a few people, I've kind of talked to them about this. They say, that's great. I've only knew that you guys had a podcast and I've only gotten the last 50. So there's 190 other ones out there. So we'll release those while we try to rebrand, reconfigure, re-understand, refocus, it.
Yeah. So we're in the process of revisioning how we're doing what we're doing, how to best serve those who we are positioned to serve.
Yeah. So
changes are coming.
Take the journey with us. It's going to be fun. I'm excited about it.
We'll keep you up to date.
Today, though, we are episode 241. Ready?
Yep.
Codependent leadership.
This is going to be a fun episode.
Oh my goodness.
So this is it's going to take me a little bit of time to build out this idea.
Okay. I'm ready.
So let's just start here. Codependent definition is emotional or psychological reliance upon a partner. Oof. And so there's this hard thing to say, support, good. Reliance, bad.
Oof.
Dependence, not healthy on there. And the reality is that there's a dynamic where a lot of leaders create a system, a culture in which people are dependent upon them. And some of it, you see it, people do it in small ways of just I can't make this decision until I get approval from the boss.
Yeah.
Does the boss know more than you know?
Yeah.
Does the boss have a different, distinct perspective? Is their set of, but any single thing that's happening. Now, there are some decisions that should need approval.
Yeah.
But we're in a spot where if all of a sudden there's this bottleneck, or if the boss leaves work and no progress is made because they are needed, their input for every decision, every piece, that's not a healthy thing.
No, yeah.
Then there's so that's the small side of it. The big side of this, I can remember I was talking to this guy, and he was talking about the church he was involved in and how he was super involved. And I was like, oh, why don't you go there anymore? Why aren't you part of the church anymore? And he goes, well, the pastor left. And so you know how it goes. The pastor leaves and everyone leaves. I was like, that's awful.
Yeah.
That's not how it should be at all.
No.
And so I think there's the small way, and then there's the much larger way of just to say hey, when people create these cultures in which people are reliant upon them. And I would just give this note that the test of great leadership is what happens when you're gone.
Yeah.
Not just through you, but when you're gone.
Such an interesting topic, man. This you think about empires.
Yeah.
They built off of that dependency of the king or the emperor or everything. And this 200 plus experiment called the United States has been trying to counteract that.
Yeah.
Right. Not
that's
built
a great
off
statement.
of dependency. It's built off of values.
In part of that means structure as well.
Yeah.
And so it would say we believe leadership matters.
Yeah.
And leadership is needed to move things forward.
Yeah.
But there's that like really fine line of, hey, this is leadership that moves things forward. And then this is leadership that holds things back, actually.
Yeah.
And if it is removed, everything absolutely topples and falls apart.
Yep.
So next question that we like, so that's introduction. First question then is like, so why do we do that? Why do people create codependent leadership? And I'll give it, so here's my like far end of the spectrum, nicest answer. So like, why do people lead in a codependent way? The kindest answer I can give is we don't even realize what we're doing.
Oh, so
and
good.
we don't know how not to.
Yeah.
So to just say like, and I want to believe that about everyone, of just to say like, you were under a codependent leader who needed your affirmation and like support in all things. And so this is the only way you know how to lead. And so you don't assume there's another way how to lead. People who don't know how to use the tools that have been given to them of like vision and values and systems and all these other pieces to create cultures that outlast them.
Yeah.
So that's the kind way.
Yeah. That's we know
You want the other way?
Yeah. I mean, we all know that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What's the other one?
So probably the more likely way,
Oh boy.
the kindest way, and then the more likely way is people feel like imposters in a leadership position. And so they curry the support and favor of everyone else. And they need to feel needed to be validated in their role.
Yeah.
And like, that's a hard thing of to say, like when the leader wants to feel needed, they will create codependency.
Yeah. Is that usually stir from a confidence issue, or is there something else going on?
We'll get there.
Okay, good.
We'll get there.
Good.
But I want to acknowledge on that piece of to say like, it feels good for someone to need your opinion in order to make a decision.
Who would not say that's untrue? I mean,
hey, I really don't want to move on until I hear what you think first.
yeah.
That feels great.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's easy to perpetuate that because it makes you feel good about what's taking place, even though in the long run, it's actually disastrous.
Yeah. It's good.
All right. So let's talk just real briefly then the impact of codependent leadership. Okay. So if you are creating codependent leadership, I just want to hit on two things that I think are just monumentally concerning about this. The first one is it hurts longevity. Because there is no momentum beyond the current tenure of leadership.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it's like new CEO comes in, everything the old CEO did was wrong. Here's new system, here's new structure, here's new vision.
Yeah.
New pastor comes in.
Yeah.
Everything the old pastor did was stupid. Here's how we're doing it now.
Yep. And everybody goes with it.
Yeah, and so it's just like you cannot get that long-term momentum. It's just a series of different tenures that are starkly different from the previous or following leader on there.
Yep.
So that's like the long-term impact of organizations. But then there's this other piece that is the one that I care about far more, of to say when the leader is codependent, what happens is it crushes development.
Yeah.
I don't mean like limits development, hurts development. It crushes development.
Yeah.
Because the only way for someone who is on the team to be able to know how to do the role that the team leader is doing is by being able to make decisions, share ideas, and gain the perspective of the leader.
Yeah.
And if they're all constantly held on to this, like, well, I can't do anything until they tell me what to do. I can't move forward on this until they give me their opinion.
Yeah.
The reality is you are staying in that position of follower at all times.
Yeah. It's such an interesting, like, dichotomy, because if the expert is always the expert.
Yep.
And he doesn't help others become expert, and the expert leaves for whatever reason, there's no experts.
Correct. Correct.
I know that sounds really ridiculous, but that is what I mean. You got someone who knows exactly what to do.
Yep.
They do it. They have someone come up and ask you about it. And then you say, I'll just do it.
It's good.
What are you going to do when they're not there to do it?
Jim Collins talks about the idea of the difference between a leader who elevates others, and he refers to the other category as the genius with 1,000 helpers.
Oh, that's great.
And the tendency is, he says within there, is the genius of with 1,000 helpers. Not only do they not go as far, but their impact is limited to their time in that seat.
Yeah. Yeah. And you talk about like longevity, right? Like the longevity piece, like there's no longevity with this codependent style leadership. I'd say that I would say that there are brief benefits that disguise themselves as benefits in the moment, but instantly cap your progress.
Yes.
Maybe that's where you're going with this.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is just that's just foundational.
Yeah.
This is codependency. This is why we do it. This is the impact of codependent leadership. Now let's talk second half of this. Let's talk other side.
Okay.
As to how we do not become, or how we quit being, codependent leaders.
Stop it.
That are there we go. Well, that was it.
Yep.
You guys heard it here first.
Yep. I agree.
Stop it. Quit living for the approval
Yes.
of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quit gauging all your success based upon whether or not people like you.
Yeah. Yep.
But the piece on there is
There's
to
a
say
strategy to it.
It really is. But like, if we're legit, the antidote to codependent leadership is security.
Oh, that's good.
Not just confidence.
Yeah.
But security. We've got on our team Jesse. He talks very well on this about the distinction between a confident leader and a secure leader.
Yeah.
That a confident leader is aware that they're a good leader. A secure leader doesn't need your validation.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean, and sometimes I get into this of it doesn't mean they reject validation.
Yeah.
It's not like a secure leader or someone who is secure in their gifting is like, hey, you did a great job. And they're like, shut up, I don't need it.
No. You don't tell me I'm good.
It is like, they're grateful. They appreciate the affirmation, but they don't need it to keep doing what they're called to do.
Yeah.
And so that is so I want to talk about how we develop security in our leadership, because I really believe security kind of sits on this three-legged stool.
Okay.
And we need all three legs of the stool in place in order to feel secure in our leadership. So those three things, and here's just the quick sum up of it, is an awareness of gifting, a commitment to calling, and effectiveness.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Awareness of gifting, commitment to calling, and effectiveness. So let's just talk about all three of those. So first one, security is built on an awareness of gifting. I know what I am naturally good at because I have done it. And I think one of the faults that people get into is they want awareness of their gifting before they use their gifting.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And that awareness only comes on the back end when you know you're good at it.
Yeah, it's good.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
It's just
yeah. Can't use it unless you know.
I want to have the confidence to take a game-winning shot.
Yeah.
You will never have the confidence to take a game-winning shot until you've taken a game-winning shot.
I hope LeBron's listening.
Oh my word, you're
joking.
a monster. You're a monster.
You brought it up.
So that security in our gifting is built on trial, not affirmation, not feedback.
Yeah.
And I love this. Donald Miller had this statement the other day that he said, amateurs want to know they did well.
Yeah.
Professionals want to know how to get better.
That's great. Yeah.
Because the professional doesn't need, tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm good. They know what their gifts are.
Can you talk a little bit more about the awareness of gifting as just the actual, it's kind of self-explanatory, but I think there's another level to it, meaning, are you just as aware of what you're not good if you're aware of what you are good at?
Yeah.
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 So I think that's...
Well, if you think you crush it at all things, no one has been given gifting in every area.
Right. And so I think that's awareness of gifting is realizing that's what you're
Absolutely.
I think it's important.
They know what lane to stay in and what lane to stay out of.
You can be secure when you understand both of those.
That's a great statement.
Making sense to, so it's I think that's important to understand in that. Sorry, keep going.
And if I could acknowledge on there, it's not an arrogance in the gifting.
No. I'm well aware of this thing that I'm good at, but I also need to know to be secure. I'm not good at this other thing, and that I need to contract that out.
Yeah,
so to speak.
Great. So That's first one. Security built on first leg of the stool, awareness of gifting. Second piece is commitment to calling, not assignment.
Yeah.
So we understand that we are all called, no matter where you are, no matter what your faith background is, we are all called.
Yeah.
There's something that we have been put here to do, a purpose for our life.
Right.
Assignment is how you're currently doing that.
Oh, it's great.
How you're currently living that out. And I think one of the things that happens is people want security in their assignment, but the problem is that there is either a person or a group of people who have the authority to remove you from your current assignment.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, you're going to cling to assignment when you're meant to cling to calling.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do the things you need to do in your assignment because eventually there'll be some spots in which you're at risk of losing your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think there's like people want security in their current position. And that, like, I'm not saying you should be living on a razor's edge in your job and being
Right.
like, I never know if I'm going to lose it or not. But if that's what your security is in, you're actually going to, what that is going to feed the need to be liked by the people who are in authority over you.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like that that you're able to now? This isn't holistic, but like, do you ever feel like people can have an assignment but still fulfill their calling, even though the assignment may not be the exact thing they want to do?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's always one of those things that I think people think it's got to be exactly this in order to meet the calling.
Well, I would say like this, like, for one, you chip away at it over time.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like, ministry went from the thing I did with my extra time because I had to do other stuff to now it's the main thing that I do. But I acknowledge even today, there are things that I want to do and there are things that I have to do in order to be able to get to do the things that I want to do.
Yes. That's an interesting topic.
So, but I think that is like that piece of like what I do must supersede the person who I'm doing it with or for, not necessarily for, but under their opinion of me. And that is where security is gained.
Yeah. I don't think you can say you're secure at all if you don't really understand the call that you have.
So like conversation that we're not going to give names or stuff that was had with us years ago.
Yeah.
And like, well, you're paid to do this. If you weren't paid, you wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we would.
Oh, yeah.
We just find other ways to get it done.
Yeah.
But this is who we are. It's not simply what we do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not changing who I am based on where I'm at.
All right, last piece. Effectiveness. So we said like awareness of gifting, commitment to calling. The third one is effectiveness. But I believe this effectiveness that is built on your willingness to adapt. Ooh. Effectiveness that is built on your willingness to adapt. This is not I know how to do it. I know the game plan. I'm coming in. I'm telling you exactly what you're going to do. I wholeheartedly believe that people will teach you how to lead them.
Yeah.
If you listen.
Yeah.
They will teach you, this is how I need to be led to reach my maximum effectiveness.
I agree with that.
And so I believe that like one of the things that is secure is to say like, I'm not walking in with the confidence I know exactly how to get it done. But I am walking in with the security that we will eventually be successful because we're going to figure this out together.
Yeah.
And I just think that is a massive piece of security, I don't feel strangled by this idea that I've got to have all the right answers. I've got to be open enough and discerning enough to figure out the best pathway because I don't have massive blind spots because I'm willing to listen.
That's great. I think some people have, at least in their maybe management style or something, thought that there's only the one way to do it. And so therefore my effectiveness is based on my ability to change change them.
Yep.
Instead of how they think about what they're trying to change.
Correct.
And that's where we get in trouble.
Great.
Yeah. That's just one of those thoughts for me is like effectiveness is different than what we think it is, generally speaking. Where do you find it in where you sit right now with all the things that you have going on? How do you measure effectiveness for your own life right now? Like in your job, in your call?
Yeah.
How are you doing that now? How are you, like, what's your mechanism of measurement?
I have benchmarks in every area, to be honest with you. Yeah. Quantitative and qualitative ones.
Gotcha.
That may sound like overly I know what I want to see in my relationships. I know what I want to see in our ministry.
Yeah. And it's a daily intake, a quarterly intake? I mean, how are you?
Probably weekly.
Weekly. So weekly, on a weekly basis, you're going, hey, I know that this looks healthy and effective with this thing.
I would say daily, I am setting intention and outcome of what I want to see from that day.
That's great.
Weekly, I'm evaluating where all those different things are.
Yeah. And are you writing that down? Are you putting it in your calendar? Are you
I do.
That's good.
I have a planner that kind of has a weekly checkpoint on there for me.
I think that's just so important because practically a lot of people are like, man, I want to be able to do that. And they're like, we just had a discussion the other day with some goal setting stuff. And I was like, the person was like, hey, I really want to be able to make this happen by the end of this week. And I'm like, okay, what day did you schedule it to do that thing that will lead to that thing?
Yeah,
the starting part before you get there. And like, I didn't. I'm like, that's not going to happen.
Correct.
Right. And you're explaining in your own life, no, I'm taking a daily inventory of these things because it's going to lead to my week, which is going to lead to my month, which is going to lead to my year.
And I found just personally is to say, like, if I'm not checking it weekly, the slides are too long.
That's great.
Because you go like, I'll miss habits, I'll miss behaviors, I'll miss things I knew how to do. And if I'm checking it monthly, I can't take a 28-day slide.
Yeah.
It's too important what I'm doing. And I can handle a 3-day slide.
And what you're saying, though, is as you're doing that, you're willing to adapt some of it in order to change, to meet the measurement, to meet the goal.
Correct.
That's great. How do you wrap this one up? 2, 4, 1.
Yeah, I want people to see the ways in which we accidentally and maybe even a little intentionally create a codependent leadership system culture.
Yeah.
The danger of that, and most importantly, is that the way you counteract that is by being a secure leader, not a distant leader, not a closed off leader, a secure leader who doesn't need the affirmation from others. And that is built on an awareness of your gifting, a commitment to calling, not assignment, and effectiveness that is built on your willingness to adapt.
It's great. That's it.
That's it.
241 Codependent Leadership. Thank you for joining us. If you're new to the podcast or haven't yet subscribed to Me in the World to us, if you did that now, also post about it, rate and review, or both. You won't believe how that helps get this podcast in the hands of so many leaders like you. We love hearing your stories, how the podcast is working in your life or business. If you have a story, visit leadinghope.online. Also, in the near future, we'll be releasing some content, some other things. The best way to find out about that will be on social media, on YouTube, through the website, or on Facebook and Instagram. Please give us a follow on there so you don't miss those updates. Some really cool stuff coming in the future as we rebrand and, like you said, refocus. So that's what we're going to be doing, and we'd love to hear from you in the meantime. Have a great day, and remember, everyone has 20 minutes to learn to become a better leader. Make it